All right, thank you. We have another question from UP Manila, from Professor. UP Manila, please come in.
I am Bernard Garganilla, the moderator. I chair the Social Science Department at the College of Arts and Sciences. We have several queries from our camera-shy constituents. The first query comes from Professor Mariam Tovera, addressed to any of the discussants. Is the Philippines on track to achieve the Millennium Development Goals by 2015?
Would you like me to repeat? Yes, okay. We got the question from Skype. Is the Philippines on track to achieve the Millennium Development? On track to achieve the Millennium Development Goal by 2015?
There are three key areas where the Philippines is lagging behind. One in universal access to basic education. I think the numbers tend to show that we're not making very important headway in that particular goal. And then the maternal mortality ratio target is also, the Philippines is also lagging behind there. And one of the reasons is really lack of access to reproductive health services. Now, some of the targets, I guess the Philippines is on track, except some middle-income countries are really urging the Philippines, which is also considered a middle-income country, to be more ambitious about its targets. For example, Thailand and Malaysia, they've really upgraded their targets. So I don't know if the Philippine government will respond to that request for the Philippines, a middle-income country, to be a showcase and then be more ambitious about its Millennium Development Goals. Thank you.
Just to supplement Dante's point, many of the countries around us, like Vietnam, China, Thailand, they've already actually achieved many of the development goals. And so I think that that to wait for 2015 to reduce by 1/2 the poverty, say, obtained in 1990 would not be a good thing. I mean, we could, and there are no reasons why we should not be able to achieve those Millennium Development Goals, especially at times when we are supposed to be growing. You have resources.
Okay, thank you very much. We have UP Baguio next. Please come in, UP Baguio.
We have questions from Miss Pauline Atumpag, a UP Baguio student.
So, good afternoon. If the Philippines will adopt the one-child policy, do you think the poverty rate will decrease?
I think everybody got that. Yeah? Okay. If the Philippines adopt the one-child policy, do you think the poverty rate will decrease?
Let me take that point. I have a study, and Dennis Mapa did a dissertation, and the question of the impact of population growth, the rapid high population growth, and poverty and income growth. And what this study showed is that if the Philippines were able to follow Thailand's population dynamics, meaning from high population growth to what it's now, it's less than 2%, then the Philippines would have achieved 0.7 percentage point more growth per year, and poverty would have been 3 million Filipinos less in moving out of the poverty line. So the impact is enormous insofar as poverty reduction is concerned.
Well, I don't think so, because this kind of social engineering or biological engineering approaches don't really work. I mean, China adopted such a policy, and we all know that it really yielded very bad results. Okay, people were, you know, resorting to abortion induced or otherwise just to be able to, you know, get the benefits from having a one-child family. And it distorts all sorts of incentives at the household level. People are ingenious, not just the Filipinos, but if you have such a one-child policy, what do you think will happen? Everybody will just create multiple households and have one child in every household.
Okay. All right. We have our next question is from UP Mindanao. Mindanao, please come in. Moderator, Professor Luz Gomez.
We have a question from Engineer Soilo Gudin Jr., the City Planning and Development Officer of Panabo City.
Good afternoon to everybody. My query is addressed to Dr. Canlas. Sir, the big issue now among the cities is the issue of the internal revenue allotment reduction. And it is now a problem among us that with this, our poverty reduction program will be greatly affected. Please comment.
All right, that was a question from Engineer Zoilo Gudin Jr. The creation of more cities reduce the internal revenue allotment among cities. This deter our poverty reduction program. Please comment.
Well, I've been reading some of the issues involved, and I guess I agree that we should not be arbitrary about converting some of these municipalities into cities. I think certain standards must be met before a particular municipality must be converted into a city. I mean, if it's just trying to, you know, try to up your share of the internal revenue allotment, forget it, even if that particular town does not meet all the requirements of being a city.
All right, thank you. Now we have a question from UP Tacloban. UP Tacloban.
Good afternoon. This is Professor Laylene Mangada, the Associate Dean of UP Tacloban College. We have one question from the student coming from Mr. Jeff Cabaluna.
Ma'am, how can an undergraduate scholar ng bayan best